Hi, in this video, we're going to talk about a very important document, the Statement of Work, or simply SOW. You may be thinking, isn't that for project managers? Now, while a PM is often in charge of a project, on smaller projects there might not be one, and you, as the implementation consultant, will have PM responsibilities. So we'll cover why understanding the SOW is crucial for your success on any project and what specific sections to focus on to manage your work effectively. First, let's start with a simple definition. The SOW is the blueprint for the project. It's the formal document that defines the project scope, timeline, and deliverables. Think of it as the ultimate source of truth. It tells everyone what to expect and what has been agreed upon legally. So why should a consultant care so much about this document? Well, the SOW is your checklist. It tells you exactly what you need to configure, what to set up, and what to deliver. It also helps you manage your time and workload by setting expectations for the level of effort required. It's also your main defense against scope creep by clearly defining what's in and out of scope. In some cases, on smaller projects without a dedicated project manager, you will be the one providing light touch, high level PM duties, making your knowledge of the SOW even more critical. When you receive a new SOW, there are a few key sections you should go straight to. The project overview gives you the big picture. So what's the main goal and which specific modules are you implementing? Project scope is the most important section for you. It's your to-do list and it's where you'll find details on what's included. Pay close attention to any specific configuration limits mentioned in this section. Roles and responsibilities is where you'll find out who does what. The document defines the purpose of each role on both the Smart Recruiters team and the client's team. It helps you understand the clear partnership required for a successful project. And then finally, deliverables and milestones. This shows you what tangible items you'll be delivering, like a configured sandbox, for example, and when. This section tells you exactly what done looks like for each phase. The SOW also contains a few key concepts you should be aware of. It uses a RACI matrix to define roles, which is a great tool for understanding your responsibilities. You will be able to see whether you are responsible, accountable, consulted, or informed. It can also include a change tolerance clause. For example, an SOW may have a 20% change tolerance on configuration limits. This is a safeguard that protects our resources. And finally, look for deemed acceptance. This means that if the client doesn't formally approve a deliverable within a set timeframe, it is considered accepted. This is a crucial detail for keeping a project moving forward. Understanding the type of contract is key to how you handle new requests. It's important to understand the main types of contracts. So firstly, time and materials. Here we bill for the hours worked. So if the scope increases, the billed hours simply increase with it. On the other hand, a fixed fee or milestone-based project is different. We're delivering a set scope for a set price. This means that any extra work requires a formal change order and may come with an additional cost. Knowing which one you're on helps you to understand what to say to the client and how to handle any new requests that come your way. It's also important to understand a key distinction for some projects. For packages such as Essentials Light and Core, there is no custom SOW. The project details, scope and deliverables are instead defined by the package itself and other sales documentation. If you are assigned a package, you will likely be the primary project manager and the package documentation will be your guide. The SOW contains a lot of detailed information. Here's a couple of examples of how it clarifies our roles at specific project milestones. So when you get to the section on testing, the statement of work will specify that the customer is responsible for executing the tests themselves. It will also clarify our role, which is typically to provide standard test scripts and support. It also does the same thing for training. So it will spell out the approach, which is most typically a train the trainer model. If there is anything different, like dedicated recruiter or admin training, the SOW will clearly outline it. The key is to make sure you check for these details to set clear expectations with your customer from the start. As a consultant, you're on the front line of the project. This means you can spot potential issues before anyone else. You should flag a risk if a client's request is out of scope, if they aren't meeting a key assumption like providing data on time, or if the timeline feels too tight for the work required. In all projects, you are the guardian of the statement of work. This is your responsibility, and the only difference is who you escalate to. Where there is a project manager, you'll escalate these concerns to them and they will manage the formal change process. When there is no PM, you're responsible for raising and managing these risks with a partner manager or DSM. Now, let's take a quick look at an SOW example and see where all of these concepts live in a real-world document. Here we have an example statement of work for Chic Icons Global Fashion. On the left-hand side here, you can see I can easily navigate to the various different sections that I may wish to review. So the first one we talked about was the overview, and this is where I can see the goal of the project along with what's in scope. Next, let's take a look at roles and responsibilities. So here we can see the smart recruiters' roles and what their responsibilities are, and then the customer roles and responsibilities, along with an estimated time commitment so they can understand what's really required from them during the implementation. Moving on to project scope, this is where we're going to find the nitty-gritty details about exactly what we need to do. So we can see we have it broken down here on the left-hand side. So maybe I want to take a look at system configuration, where I can see here who is responsible, who's accountable, consulted, or informed. So remember that RACI we discussed earlier. I can also see here if it's been added any limitations or specifications around configuration. So in this case, we can see that the customer and smart recruiters are responsible for 50% configuration each, and that as far as the sandbox is concerned, there are specific limits around things like hiring team roles or templates. If we take a look at testing, we can see here that it's defined what's actually required from smart recruiters and the customer. So as we mentioned, typically you'll see that we are going to be responsible for providing the scripts and for supporting them during their UAT, but it's the customer who is actually responsible for conducting the testing. Then with training, here we can see what's actually going to be delivered for this project. So in this case, there's admin training, train the trainer, and then supporting the customer with their delivery of training and also hiring manager webinars. And again, we've got all the different tasks listed out along with any assumptions to consider. You can see we've got information about proposed timelines. So this is split out into different phases along with an estimation of the number of weeks. There's details about knowledge transfer and handover to customers. And then we've got the fees section. So here is where you're going to be able to see the contract type. So is it time and materials? Is it fixed? Is it milestone based? You'll find the details here. As you look further into this, you'll see any specific tasks that have hours allocated to them or milestone information if it's a milestone-based project. Beyond the main sections, you'll find information about project assumptions and constraints, which outlines the conditions that must be met by both teams for the project. And you'll also find details on the deliverables and also sign-off and completion criteria. These basically show you the formal process for handing off your work and getting it accepted by the client. It's also useful to look for any clauses about deemed acceptance. So you can see here the words deemed acceptance. And basically, if there's no response from the customer, in this case within 2 business days of a deliverable being delivered, then it is deemed as accepted. As we wrap up then, remember, the statement of work is the single source of truth for your project. Understanding it is key to managing scope, expectations and success, no matter if a project manager is on board or not. If you want more detailed information, we do have a full statement of work review video available in Partner Hub. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please let us know.